All right.
Yay!
I think that's it.
Awesome. Then where on earth did I see the link of that last time? I might not have it.
The link.
Or you know what? I might be able to just go to YouTube and take it right off of there.
Are you pretty much in there?
I'm pretty much in there. I think I am.
So we got starting just a little bit early today.
Yay! That's okay. We did last week too. Remember how we awkwardly talked about rabbit holes
Oh my God.
for like way too long? I'm gonna go in. Okay, it does show that we're live. Yay! Okay, let me see
Whoopee!
if I can share this.
Purity.
I know, I'm excited.
So we're going to
This
talk
is gonna
about
be fun.
purity culture today.
Okay, share. Yay, copy link. Okay. Yeah, I'm just right now, I'm not tech savvy, so I'm working on putting a link
I'm going to move over closer.
in the chat.
Look, if I go like that, you can see my Gibson guitar case.
It looks cool. I think our background looks a lot better. It's a Murphy bed, which is cool.
Murph.
Don't let me leave, Murph.
Don't let me leave, Murph. You're so pleased with yourself.
I love it's like one of the few impressions I can actually do somewhat well. Murph. From Interstellar, which I love that movie.
Please don't hit me in my bad here, Mr. Gower. That's the one you do the best. That sounds exactly like it, man.
Thank you. Imitating like 13-year-old boys, something I can do. I'll say, join us live now to discuss.
Yeah, I like that.
Purity culture.
I got a little fired up this week.
Yeah, it's so funny. I actually started getting some messages because we went public with the deconstruction and leaving Christianity, and so I started getting some Facebook messages, which was weird because it was people I was telling Dad I haven't talked to in 20 plus years that were just reaching out and sending me like kind of preachy, somewhat condescending things. Which I thought was very odd because if you don't have any kind of like rapport with a person, I can't imagine just being like, what you think is wrong, what you believe is wrong. Like,
it's kind of like a drive-by situation.
It was. And also like saying like, oh, it sounds like you think this or your problem is this, instead of just talking to like asking me about it or having any kind of.
It's the beauty of the internet.
It is. I wouldn't even mind if someone reached out and said, hey, we haven't talked in this long. I know that we don't have any kind of relationship. I just was feeling worried. Do you mind answering some questions? Yep. That's a lot different than just like someone sent me a bunch of verses about hell. And
it's like a Hallmark card.
I know.
It's like that person should write for Hallmark.
And like you talked about last week when you showed up at people's houses with cookies and then told them they'd go to hell if they died. It was like they didn't even bring me cookies. It was just messages of why I'm bad, I guess.
If they had sent like a box of Samoas.
Oh, I don't like those. Samosas? Is it Samoa?
Samosa. Wait, before I mock you, I could be wrong. Let's check. I think it's Samoas. Let me check.
But I thought Samoan was like a people group.
Well, they make a mean. It is Samoas, Girl Scouts Samoas.
And there's Samoan people. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Samoas. It's right on the box.
Then what's a samosa? Is that like the?
Are you thinking of like a mimosa?
Maybe. Or is samosa the little, like the Indian food that's like a
oh,
samosa?
Yeah. Oh.
Is that a thing? Like it's fried and it can have vegetables or potatoes or meat. They're so freaking good.
That sounds so familiar.
I know.
It could be.
I know.
But something's not ringing true. But I think it is. Yeah. A little meat pocket.
Yes, or like if you're a vegetarian like myself, sweet potato or curry, a vegetable curry, samosas are phenomenal.
Well, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm Brian.
And I'm Jess.
Yay! And welcome to this week's...
Okay, it is Indian food. Thank you, Bree.
Hey, how's it going,
Welcome in. Glad to have you.
We'll say 9228.
Yeah,
good
perfect.
To see
you. I love that. Yeah, super happy to have you in the chat and hanging out with us. And this week's topic is going to be interesting because we're going to talk about purity culture, which was a really big topic. I think in the 90s is when that kind of blew up,
Yeah,
wasn't
the
it?
late 90s, early.
Yeah.
From what I remember, well, let me just say real quick in case, just to get that out there, this is a place for anyone who's been in the process of questioning their faith or deconstructing is a real popular term now, where you're just looking at the things you were taught and maybe reevaluating them from a different vantage point and seeing if that rings true to you. And some people uh, reevaluate those kind of things and they stay with their faith, but maybe look at it in a new way. Some people find it just isn't a fit anymore, so they leave the faith, and that's what we're here for. Is
Mm.
it can be a tough process going through that. People can feel pretty isolated and stuff. There's a lot to risk in a lot of those higher control groups that hates you either fit into this criteria in this lifestyle and think and do things the way we all do, or you don't really fit. And to lose that can be really a big loss for people.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I know when I was going through this, having been a Christian for 30 plus years, having been a pastor for a while, running many ministries, I mean, it was a big part of my identity and how everybody knew me as, the bio, I got my family members like, hey, if you got a biblical question, go ask Brian. I've done funerals and for my family members because I'm the Bible person in
Oh
our
yeah,
family.
you've
And
done weddings. You also would always pray at all the holidays and
yeah, and
stuff. You
they'd
were the one that would get volunteered to pray always.
so like there was it was part of my identity too, and just think about letting people know that, and gosh, admit that I was wrong, or I believed things for a long time and my beliefs legitimately changed. I think that's a normal thing that happens to people as they continue to explore things and look into things. And
Yeah.
but there's a lot to lose now, or a lot to lose, fortunately. And I think you've got some of this same genetic makeup. I do care a little less than some people do about what other people think.
Same.
I mean, it's important to me, but I think we're all wired so differently. I know, like, Karen, my wife, is like, I'm not supposed. Am I supposed to say her name?
I don't know if she cares. I mean,
She'll
people
be
know
like,
who it is.
she'll come home and. Karen's like really petite. She would never hit me.
And she's so sweet.
But
glad you qualified that.
But yeah, I mean, just different personalities think a lot more about that kind of thing, and it makes it really hard. So it's nice to, like, if you come to a place like this, you don't have to say anything. You can just listen. You don't have to say who you are. You don't have to leave or your faith or anything like that.
Nope.
But if it's you're questioning those things, it's a great place to at least find some like-minded people that think similarly or have been through that process in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels safe. And if you have questions that you want to voice or anything like that, you can certainly do so. Um, we may not have all the answers. I probably won't.
I guarantee you I won't.
But it's a safe place where it's not going to be, you get pat responses. And that was what was really interesting this week, with getting messages where people were just responding how I probably would have expected from a high demand fundamentalist religion, of not listening at all to what I was saying. And I didn't engage much because, again, these weren't people I had communication with or contact with in literally decades, that were just sending me really bizarre things, and not even opening the conversation with, like, hey, how are you? Are you doing okay? And there's so much going on in my life right now. And this last year, this past week has been really hard and difficult. And then to be getting inundated with messages about, you're doing something dangerous. I hope you still believe in the Trinity, was one comment that got thrown out, which was weird. Sounds like you're really angry at God.
Well, yeah, if I'm going to believe in anything, it's going to be that, because that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. And one was like, sounds like you're really angry at God. And I'm just like, okay, you didn't hear anything. I don't think he's real. That would be like me being angry at Santa Claus. No, I'm not angry at anybody except people sending me weird messages. That's a little off putting.
yeah.
Instead of like, they don't, somebody doesn't even know me to just be preaching at me via message. It's like, hey, maybe, have some kind of rapport relationship. And it made me really think it's good that we're doing this, because it is a
Yeah,
safe place and you can have those feelings and thoughts, and that's okay. Whatever side of the fence you land on, you're welcome here, and there's no judgment.
yeah. Yeah, I think like even the fact that like Karen is still a Christian and I'm not, and it hasn't changed our relationship at
Right.
all. So like I don't know if that's just unique, but I don't think so. It's because we love each other and understand that we're two individual people, and like you can have different thoughts on even important things in it. And if you still have that desire to that you love that person and want what's best in their life, and um, we both feel that way, it's like, well, I'm happy to go to church with her if she would still want to, and all of that, because and she's
Oh,
fine with what we're doing, because it's like it's not, I'm not her and she's not me.
absolutely. Yes.
So it doesn't have to be a threatening thing, but
No, and I want to say that too, that there's also been Christians who have reached out to me who are just really warm and kind and supportive, and who have reached out and just like me as a person. And so I'm completely fine with people thinking differently than I do. I'm completely fine with that. And like mom has been one of the biggest supporters of me my entire life, whatever I'm doing, whatever, two divorces, if y'all didn't know that, like never made me feel judged or condemned. Neither did you. And so, yeah, whoops.
yeah, that was a crazy
That was a crazy roller
period.
coaster, but that's okay.
Yep. So what I think we're excited tonight, we're going to talk about purity culture,
Oh,
which is kind of cool too, having it from two
yeah.
perspectives, because we went through it together, that whole purity culture phase, and Karen, and we did that with our kids, and just so I thought it was kind of interesting to hear what it was from my perspective and the things I was thinking, how it impacted you, and
Yeah.
um, just what that's like. So, like,
Yes.
just like to kick off, like, what is like for maybe someone who didn't go through that, like, what is purity culture?
I'm not the authority because I ended up not being particularly good at it. But
She lost her purity ring,
I did. Do you guys remember purity rings?
which is so bizarre now that I think. Okay, I
The stream is lagging hardcore, or is that a me problem? Oh, if anyone else in the chat can let us know if we're lagging, that'd be
yeah.
helpful. I don't know if that's you or not really, but
Oh,
we'll
you know what? What we're doing this on is streaming, right? It's not hard.
like wired in.
Yeah, I think the PC just has a receiver for wireless. It's not like hard plugged. I should probably change that.
Oh, okay.
So anyway,
Okay.
thanks for letting us know though.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully
it
I
picks up.
can look. I can look on my channel. Yes.
9228 had one.
I think a lot of us did.
Okay, so let's tell what is
So,
purity
purity culture
culture?
is the concept that you do not have sex until you're married. And that
That's what you took away. It's so much more. It's a beautiful. No,
that's
I'm just kidding. But
that's
that's what
like
I want to hear is like what you.
yeah, that well, and also that to me the biggest takeaway was that anything that you give away to a guy or girl who doesn't end up being your husband is something that you are detracting from your future marriage. So if you hold hands, that's like giving a little piece away. If you kiss, that's giving something away. So,
Oh, I can't believe I
so
told you.
it's okay.
It's so embarrassing, man.
um, Certainly, like anything beyond that was, and one, like it was described as basically your marriage would be more blessed in the future the more that you preserved for your husband or your spouse.
Yeah.
I feel like and then all those things along it, where if you dressed in a way that made people look at you, especially for us gals, if you dressed in a way that was considered immodest and men were looking at you lustfully, which like that's teenage boys are like supposed to, that's normal,
It-
but it was like you're creating lust in them. And so that was a big push with the purity culture, as well as basically just preserving. And oh, I know for us a big thing too was dating to marry. So you wouldn't just like have boyfriends if you didn't think that that could potentially end up being your husband. So
Guilty.
and I
So what were your like? Um, so that's how that was your perception of it.
yeah.
So mine now, even at this time, I was still already having a lot of questions about things, and I might not have taken some things. Um,
Oh yeah.
really weird. Says the water balloon
Do you remember?
object lesson was brutal.
Do you want to do it or should I? Or do you want to really?
But wait, let me say how. So
Okay.
from the parent side, okay, so we're thinking like we know, like my children, you guys are the most important things in the world to us.
Oh.
So we did it certainly thinking this was like a very positive thing, knowing that as you guys were getting a little older and stuff, that yeah, like we my one of my parents had this sex talk with me and it was and my brothers when we were at that age, and it was so awkward, and it was just kind of a short thing, and then it's like, okay, you didn't. So we thought like this was a more healthy thing, like you're talking about you're going to start, boys are going to be interested in everything, and the idea like
They weren't.
yeah, they were. So the idea, like, though, it did kind of make sense to me because the big pitch that was told at the time was, yeah, like if you're not like serious about someone, why spend a lot of time with them and make out with them, and then maybe potentially have go too far, or even if not all the way, have kind of sex, and then most of the time those dating things break up, and then you've kind of like all that emotional hurt and stuff, and then sex tied in with it and stuff. I was thinking of it much on that practical level, like that kind of makes sense, but
Mhm.
I mean, I hated to even say, like, it was hard to get the words out of my mouth courting because I'm like, what are we on?
Go in
Well, I'm
court,
not
Ken. Go in
Amish or
court.
something, but and but so I did see it like that, but in no way like I'm probably just not the brightest guy around. I didn't.
Oh.
Well, I didn't think of it like what kind of weight and stuff this was putting on a young person when you like tie God in with it, and um it, so I that's kind of the perspective we were at, and then plus you
It
did
makes
the
sense.
whole purity weekend where we go like spend the night in a hotel and go to your favorite dinner, and we do those object lessons. I think we ordered a packet in a box,
It
a
was.
purity weekend box game,
Oh yeah.
and it had like little object lessons.
Can I tell the water balloon
Now I
one?
remember we had
We
fun,
did
but I
have
don't
fun.
remember if it was like I had no clue at that time that it was like hurt harmful.
Oh, I know, because you wouldn't have done anything intentionally
Yeah, I
harmful.
mean, I just did.
You
It
wouldn't
seems
have.
kind of obvious now, the implications that some of those things that it could put on a child,
Well, that's how a
a
lot of
young
things
person.
are, though. And I think that there is some, I think that there is some validity to having conversations with younger people. And maybe, I think maybe from a level of like, hey, when you do have sex with somebody, it does release bonding chemicals, kind of like with a mom breastfeeding. Like so it can, I should say, hurt you emotionally. Like if it's not a good person, it's not a trustworthy person. And just to have those expectations of like, hey, you might want to be careful, make sure it's somebody that you really, really trust. It can affect you mentally and emotionally and psychologically. And those are healthy and good things for people to be aware of and to know, and not just like, here's a condom, good luck, go figure it out. Like, I think that there can be some balance. The purity culture whole thrust, bad choice of words, was like, was like, also that like God cares so much about your sexuality, and almost like you having sex outside of marriage was tantamount to murder, and like the worst thing
Dude,
that
it
you could
was
do
like
was have sex outside of marriage.
I could see that now, in like even in the like it never dawned on me like you're telling like the modesty and stuff, like dude, you unless you're just doing something like so inappropriate, everybody even today, I mean, I think is fairly modest. And like a lot of the weights put on the women and the girls now, a young girl, that you have that kind of power over all these men's sexuality. Well, what's their responsibility in all this? A lot, it should be. That's their job to control that. And in putting that idea in a young person's mind that you have that much power, and like you don't like you can't control what all these people are going to think, because you can where do you stop, like burkas and the you only see your eyes, and then men still, it's a men thing if they're lusting. It's the man's
Sure.
deal. But to put that on a child
Well, and I think
or a
it was,
young girl, like I think it puts a lot of onus on them and guilt, and maybe even start thinking shamefully like about
yeah. I think too
um,
that really is detracting to men, is to kind of say like, well, you're just all of these animals who have no control over yourselves,
yeah,
and that's
exactly.
not fair either. And it's also to say, hey, when you're teenagers, your hormones are going to be going wild, and if you're a guy and you're feeling strongly attracted to whoever, that's actually really just normal. That's just biology. That's okay. You're not sinning against God by thinking sexually about somebody. Like that just happens when you are a teenager and young adult. That's just biology,
Yeah,
and that's a normal thing, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's where guys kind of got the short end of the stick. Again, like bad choice of words, but they did, because it's like, hey, if you look around you and you look at girls and you think about them sexually, you're bad. So they're all sexually repressed. And then like the pornography problem becomes prolific, and it is addictive. And they have done studies and proved that it's similar to some drugs
dude,
even.
that
And like,
it was shocking how many uh, people through the years, either support groups or 12-step programs that I ran, that it was all helping people from your generation,
oh,
guys that were, the pornography thing was so prevalent and
oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
struggling with it, and they could, and I, so so often, like, the fundamentalist world is, we portray these things based on this ancient book, that if you incorporate these things from this ancient culture into your life now and you do them exactly, you're going to get this promised reward. And that's just a setup for failure. It was never even, if it worked that way, the world would be so easy.
It
Like, you
would.
just do these things, you get this result. That's not how it goes. Like, and that was kind of the setup, like,
It
for
was.
um now we didn't really buy into that. We're like, okay, so what if you do really fall in, really get a crush on someone and want to date? What would we have said? Probably go on a date. Like,
Yeah, I
uh
think I did. But I was also like purity culture queen. I didn't kiss anybody till I was
you
18.
bought it hard.
I
You're
did.
like,
Until I was like 18, and then I ended up marrying that person. But
that's, I think, was the failure in it. Like,
well, because then you're like, you have to. Well, because you gave away that part. Now, I was very much in love with that guy, and come hell or high water, like nothing would have stopped me from getting
yeah,
married
we
when I
had
was
those
yeah. Because
conversations,
we
like,
did. We had like, hey, are you sure? Because it's okay if you don't want to, even if you guys have done whatever. But up until that point, I remember like, and talk about regret, shaming one of my best friends because she got a boyfriend and they would kiss, and I was like, oh, you're giving that part of yourself away. That what if you guys don't get married? Then you won't give that to your future husband. And I was very self righteous, I think, because I was like, I've never done anything with a guy. Yeah, because I hadn't met one I really liked yet. And then when I did, I was like, yeah, my purity ring's gone. I don't care anymore. But it was like but I was bought in for like a really long time, and I didn't really date. I think I had my first boyfriend when I was 17, and I wouldn't let him kiss me on the mouth. I was like, you can kiss me on the cheek or like whatever, but I wouldn't let him kiss me on the mouth because I said I'm not kissing until I'm married, and that was my big thing. And I know,
oh,
boom, and and
noise.
he literally was like, okay, and I was shocked because I would never have expected that. But like really said the water balloon. Can I tell that
Yeah, do it.
the water balloon object lesson from Purity Weekend? I think I was 13 or 14 when we went on ours, but it was basically a
Me,
filled up.
you, and mom went. And
Yes,
remember, we had it.
yeah, it was the three of us, and we filled up a water balloon, and then you would take a pin or like a needle and pop it, and a little water would start shooting out, and say, and the object lesson, you go, oh, that was holding hands with a boy. And then you'd pop, like, I guess the water balloon was your purity. And then you'd pop it and a little bit more water, and that was kissing. And you'd pop it, that was fondling. More water. And then at the end, you have, like, obviously, intercourse was the big one. And then at the end, you just had this,
With
like,
the pinata.
yeah, you had this, like, soggy, flapped up water balloon. It was like, this is what you would give to your future husband if you did all those things before you got married. And then there was the toothpaste tube analogy that if you squeeze out like Crest toothpaste and it has those stripes, you can put it back in the tube, but it's never going to be the same. So basically, you're damaged goods if you do
Oh,
anything before you get married.
I'm so
No, it's
sorry.
okay. Oh,
I mean,
it's
that is
okay.
what an awful thing to say.
And 9228 was like, I was also judgmental and did a lot of apologizing for that later in life. I feel that. Same here. That's part of like doing this is,
Yeah. Like, God, what an awful thing to plant in someone's mind that if you make a mistake, and not even a mistake, like if you do something like that, you're damaged goods. I wish I could take that back.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
horrible.
okay. I
Because it's
appreciate
not
it. But
true. Like, that's it.
you never acted like that though,
Yeah,
to
but I
me.
mean, just the fact that we had that, and I know it had an impact on both you guys in some way, because it's like, how could it not? And I think those normal human reaction or like it's how everybody's designed that
Yeah.
way to be attracted. It hits in your teens and all of that, and then you put that thought of this omnipresent, all powerful creator of the universe is taking an interest in the thoughts of your mind and like about sex and what you're doing. Are you old? Is really bizarre.
It is weird. It is
But
weird when you put it in that context. It
but
is weird.
you're putting that in people's minds. I mean, I know I had it in my mind my whole life that God is doing seeing my thoughts and
Sorry, bro.
yeah, yeah. That's
Uh-oh.
probably why we broke up. Like, nope.
He's like, I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's cool that we could have had that experience and kind of come full circle and seen it differently
Like,
later on in life. I think that's really cool.
how do you think that what we're looking back, like, what were messages that you took away from that you think would be like harmful or were
Oh,
hurtful?
I think for sure that there were elements of especially like the way that I always liked boys. Like my two, and this hasn't changed, but like the two things I was obsessed with growing up were boys and bugs. And the two did not coincide because
We should have just all we had to do is let you walk around with your little bug container.
like
You didn't even need a purity ring. You had a bug box.
I literally, what did my brother say?
This is
He was
fun.
like, "You have a he's like, well, you would take a briefcase with a bug in it to church like every Sunday." And I'm like, "Why don't the boys like me?" Because you brought a praying mantis to church, weirdo. That's why the boys don't like you. But I was like obsessed. Like I love boys and I still do. Thankfully I've just found someone as weird as me who like just lets me be weird all the time
Okay, so
and loves bugs. But I think that it was like there was sort of not from you guys, but like in because you guys always like to know who do you have a crush on and stuff like that. And it was kind of fun. But there was always kind of an underlying message in that purity culture of there's something wrong if you're thinking that much about boys or whoever you're attracted to. That there was something, and I don't even want because I don't have that experience. Like the homosexual community, uh, the LGBTQ community, like can't even imagine like the things that they've gone through in church. But for me, it was like you're trying to make
yeah.
yourself look good so that boys will look at you. You want to make them lust after you, that kind of thing. I mean, I had church leaders literally say that kind of stuff to me, or um, one of my biggest memories that was a guy who was probably like your age now when I was 16 embarrassing me in front of a huge group of my friends. It literally told me, zip up your coat and walk away. You're being a distraction right now in front of everybody um, on a missions trip. And then later pulled me aside and I want to name him because it was so horrific. I feel like he deserves it, but I'm not going to. And I was wearing my mom's tank top. And if anyone knows her, she is so just has always been like conservative in the way that she dresses, and she's certainly not strutting around in like string bikinis or anything. So it was not like a horrific top. I didn't have cleavage. I don't have cleavage, so there was nothing like to show. It was just that it was like a cami that maybe came up to here and it had a little bit of lace. And then this guy who didn't know me from Adam like pulled me aside and gives me this long, embarrassing birds and the bees talk about how certain thing draws men's eyes and creates lust in them and what kind of person did I want to be. I remember him saying that. And all he said was, "This is my mom's shirt, dude. I
Yeah.
literally borrowed it from her to be modest on this mission trip. And if you can't help but stare at the little
And
bit of
Drew,
lace that's on, like, then you might have an issue, my friend."
and why is some like 50-year-old man talking
That's
to you about
creepy.
that? Like,
You were so mad. I remember
dude,
after that trip, you were so mad.
so like, um,
Really weird. Said, "God is the cosmic peeping Tom." Literally.
peekaboo. You know, and what I was thinking about, like those comments you got that said, "Oh, it sounds like you're angry at people and not God." You know, that's a cop out because God doesn't appear to anybody. God doesn't talk to anybody. You don't see God. You can't touch God. So all we have is his words that are very misogynistic and talk horribly about women as property through the majority of the book. So you get that perception from God. And then the only other thing we have is God's representatives who study that and are supposed to be the ones that, in your case, were the leaders who are representing God. Because you can say, well, that's people, but not God. Well, if God shows up and starts talking to us, cool. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen ever. So we get the book and we get his representatives. And when they're offensive and do hurtful things, that does push people away. And that is representative of God.
Yeah.
So, like saying, well, you got to separate people and God, but God's not talking to anybody. God doesn't show up to anybody. God doesn't, it's people, is what we're seeing and hearing.
Yes,
And
I agree.
people are hearing and seeing their own thoughts and saying it's God.
I
From
agree.
my humble perspective. So,
I just want to cap that off with really weird said. He said that to a teenager, add him to the watch list.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah, like
know.
that's odd,
I
man.
totally agree.
That's odd. And yeah, and so I do really feel bad about all that. That's like
Oh,
it was man, we just thought like it was you know, that was the best thing to do. Like I remember us being really positive about it, me and mom thinking this is going to be a really cool experience and everything.
I had fun on the purity weekend.
But I don't like the idea. I never thought about it. Oh my gosh. And knowing we're going to talk about this, I started listening to some podcasts.
So did I.
Type in purity culture trauma.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh my God, there's counselors.
There's a
That's
lot.
all they do. And I just it never dawned on me the way these ideas, no matter how they were said or presented in the best of way, could be interpreted by young people in that position,
Yeah.
and the weight and the shame and the guilt and the fear of, you know, now gosh, I've got these very natural feelings that I'm designed to have, and God's judging. What does he think of me? Is this going to put me in hell? Am I going to make someone else go to hell because of the way I'm designed and the shape of my body? And now
Yeah.
that it's transforming and people are looking at me, oh my, like just how horrible that is, because
Yeah.
it's all natural.
It's just normal.
It's just people.
It's just
And it's
normal.
what happens to
Yeah.
all people, like, right?
I think that was a big thing too, was just learning as I got older in the church. There was kind of this, like, it was not spoken. Well, it was sometimes to me, but like, that if you dressed in a way that looked nice and that people would notice and be like, you look nice, that was wrong, and that you were being like a temptress or a Jezebel. And one of my rudest awakenings with once again, like I had gone shopping with mom, and she and I picked out a top together for me to wear to this church outing that was like really cute, a little bit off the shoulder, but that was it. And I shouldn't have to justify it because it wasn't anything bad.
No, it's
It was really cute. And I posted pictures from this outing, and we had been putt golfing. And one of my closest friends who I went to church with, it was a guy, commented on it. And I was still a teenager too. I think I was like 16 at this point. And he commented on my picture and said, "Wow, Jess, your shirt looks like some of the pictures of girls that I saw in Vegas, the pamphlets," referring to hookers like in Vegas. And then other people started commenting after it, and I took the pictures down. Well, I had mom look at them, and she's like, "Let me get on there." And I'm like, "No, I start Facebook fights. We don't need
Feist,
you starting Facebook fights too.
feisty mom.
I know. And you were so upset. I mean, I was crying. I was so upset. And I had a few of my friends come to my defense, and other ones were like, yeah, this isn't really appropriate what you're wearing. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, okay, so
Yeah.
what, like, what is safe? And then the funny part about modesty is, here's the really funny part, is that some people could find a turtleneck more sexy because it's mysterious and you can't. Some
Yeah.
people could find a baggy sweater more sexy, or baggy sweat. And so you can't, but it's not up to the individual person to be like, oh, I have to dress in such a way that no man looks at me and thinks, dang, she's hot. And even if they do, that's not like an unnatural thing for people to be attracted to one another and think, oh, that's a nice looking person. That's not a bad thing. That is just a human nature biology thing. Our species
Absolutely.
wouldn't be here if that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, and it's okay to like care about how you look and to take care of your appearance and all of that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Thanks a million. I actually had a lady at one at a wasn't one church, but it was a church who got a word from God and pulled me aside during youth group and said, I just got a word from God that you care way too much what other people think about you and how you look, or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, God knows I care about what. Here's a newsflash though: every 15-year-old girl cares about what they look like. That's pretty standard.
Most, yeah, most people do in some level
Sure. Oh
care what
yeah.
they look like.
Oh, the other thing I was going to talk about, purity culture, and this wasn't really a thing with me because I was always sort of like, I would get the baseline rules, be afraid of going to hell, and then probably do stuff anyway, just because I wasn't such a rule follower, kind of like you. Like there were just things that I thought, like, we'll see what happens. uh,
Well, yeah,
but
maybe.
things I had heard um, was that like you get inundated with purity culture your entire life, and I heard this from a lot of people in the church and young women. Um, and then sex is bad, it's the worst thing, sex is terrible, all this stigma, and then you don't really know much about it or how it actually works, or like you get married and then it's kind of elevated as like, oh, it's going to be so here's the thing though, if you're both in purity culture and neither of you have done it or know how it works or like are allowed to experiment, it's not going to be great the first time. It's not.
Get that out of my ear.
I know. But it's not like, it's not going to be great because nobody, like, you guys don't know what you're doing, and that's fine, but it's so elevated
I
as
think
this,
naturally yeah.
you'll figure it out for sure, but
But I
like,
do exact it. It
yeah.
so elevates this very uh natural thing and puts so much pressure on and everything.
And then you have to break the stigma in your head where all of your life it's this evil, terrible, sinful, dirty
Yeah,
thing.
how do you?
And there is a medical condition for women where their bodies actually lock up and they cannot have sex, and it is because of that fear and it being embedded in you that it's wrong and that it's bad.
Mm,
And so, which it really makes sense that you would go from like, it's the worst thing ever your entire life as you avoid it at all costs. And then all of a sudden now you're married. Oh, it's fair game. But you're like, your body still knows all of that trauma and still knows that like, I've been conditioned to think that this is the worst, most evil thing. And I've heard from a lot of people like it took years and is still maybe a process even of getting over that.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
That was just another like interesting fallout from the purity culture thing.
so like in my mind, looking back and remembering it, the purity culture to me thing was mostly that weekend,
Oh,
the
okay.
purity weekend. Like because it was all to me around, like, I know you would have this talk with your children as they get older about this stuff. And man, did we like, we got the kit and it had object lessons and oh, it had a tape in it that there was a song that was a Bible verse that we all sung together.
Do not be deceived. Bad companies corrupt good morals. I think that was in missionettes too.
But it was, well, that got a lot of
That
mileage.
one got, I did get a lot of mileage. Yeah.
But it's true, like,
I see what you're saying though. You remember it as being like a, Well, I remember thinking
And then yeah, we gave you the ring. You lost it a little while,
at Cedar
but
Point.
not like I guess yeah. I never. It just didn't dawn on me like the implications it would have in someone's life, and now I see that.
I could see it having like a rebound effect too. I think that probably more was like my that you're like restrained, and then you finally just snap and you're like, ah, you go crazy. Kind of like when you're not allowed to have any kind of candy, and then all of a sudden you're just like
Mm.
candy, candy, candy. So I think that people can go, but the other problem is too, like if you're taught stay away from people that you're attracted to, and you don't develop the skills of like meeting people and having relationships and flirting and those kind of
And
things
even dating and
and
stuff and all
dating,
that is good. It's
then
like just
suddenly
so
you're a young
normal
adult. And how,
and
and I think for
healthy
young
and
men I could see that being really troublesome of like, well, I don't have experience, and that could be embarrassing going forward in a relationship. And I would never think that. I think most people that I've taught wouldn't care like that, but I think that mentally that can be a bit of a roadblock for people and women as well, anyone, if like, well, this is embarrassing, I don't really know what to do going forward in a relationship because you don't have the experience of like of dating and going on dates
yeah.
and talking to people and being in romantic relationships.
Yeah, the whole idea of
One of the like the breasts, like the twin fawn breasts. Really weird. Said y'all should have sang one of those thirsty psalms, like Song of Solomon. Your
Thursdays.
breasts are like twin fawns, which is a weird, unusual. I think I'd be offended if someone wrote that poem about me. Twin fawns, eh?
It was well,
I guess they're cute. Fawns are cute.
I get all of my romantic literature from
Song of Solomon.
couple yeah, couple 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. So
Hot.
anything else like
Purity culture related? Oh, I'm sure that there
we
is.
did I know we uh then that whole idea that you're only dating if it has implications or the possibilities of being someone you're really interested in, which how would you even know?
That's the
Like
only
how
thing
would you
with
know
that.
until you date, like, right? You'd have to
Yes.
date them multiple times to find out if it is. So it was kind of like
Yeah, because
not a good plan.
you can't know. I think that the only thing with me was then when I was like 18 and I did start really dating somebody who I ended up marrying, like first real relationship, that I just felt a lot of embarrassment, and I did a lot of it really secretly because it was like, well, we're doing stuff we're not supposed to because we had said we were
Mm.
gonna just court, and like me and whoever the guy was would probably
I
never
can't
be alone
remember.
together, like shouldn't be alone
You're
together because too
courting.
much temptation. So I just felt kind of embarrassed, like I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I want to, and that side went out. And it also did feel very natural, like, well, I like this guy, it seems like you'd spend some one-on-one time together to see if you'd
Yeah.
vibe well together. So there is that pressure too that I think for a lot of people in the purity culture of, if you do have sex with somebody or kiss them or whatever, oh, now I have to marry them or else God's not going to bless my marriage and who I actually do marry.
Yeah. And the whole idea of like you're damaged is just
Well,
like doing something that's pretty natural.
yeah, yeah.
Like, and yeah, I mean, obviously, if someone's having sex with everybody they meet and stuff, that's probably has negative side effects too. So, but I don't think that's what most people. I don't think most people do that. I don't. I had my own built-in purity system. It was called being me. I didn't have a girlfriend until I was almost 18. So it was.
Built-in purity.
I mean, I wanted the impurity, but no one no one from the opposite sex was like willing to go along with it. True story, unfortunately.
That's so funny.
It's true.
It's so funny.
I tried.
Oh my god. Once I ditched the bug briefcase, then I had a couple suitors knocking at the door.
You've got suitors and courting your.
Oh yeah. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. And now that I'm in like the best relationship that I've ever been in, which is awesome, now at like 35 almost years old, I love him to pieces. I literally have one of those bug briefcases again, but I had hermit crabs in it this time. not bugs. And
Yeah.
he supports me. So it kind of came full circle.
And you know what's funny? Like with me and mom, we met in AA.
Aw.
Like we started dating. I'm like, she had a really nice place. So I was like, can I move in? It was way nicer than where I was living. And plus, I really liked her because she was, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you guys got to live together before
yeah,
you were
we lived
married.
together. We lived and never even ever once crossed my mind that someone would be thinking negatively or differently about it. Like,
Yes.
like no one. Um, it just never even dawned on me that there was something wrong because I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was raised uh, Catholic, but I
They
hadn't.
didn't care about that so
I
much.
don't know if they did or not, but I was so far removed from it, and I hadn't gone such a long time, and I had a relationship with God that was probably fairly healthy in um, uh, Alcoholics Anonymous because that's a
I
big
think
part of
so.
it. But because it was same thing. I'm like, I never see this guy or never hear him or anything, but I'm supposed to talk to him, and
Yeah.
um, it
That
was
was part
someone.
of the
It
program
was someone to
too.
talk to, and all of that. But there wasn't all of that on it. I never even dawned on me like you wouldn't do that. And I mean, we're gonna celebrate our 37th anniversary coming up, and like we did it all wrong. Like so, it's just this idea that
That's a good point.
people are somehow these you know you can put them through this process and they're going to turn out the way you want, and that's
Right.
a lot of times biblical stuff is presented that way, and that's just not reality.
Maybe people are
People don't work
non-linear.
that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. And I see Faith in the chat said, with my son, heck yeah, the love of my life. I love him. Thanks for being here. How fun is
Oh,
that?
hey, how's it going?
I know. This is so fun actually having people watching.
Okay, so
I think I'm trying to think because feel like there was something else I wanted to touch on with purity culture. I think all of this to
i
say is
I
too.
wrote something down.
Oh, you
You
did.
can go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. I think you did it all right. Oh, thanks, Faith. I think that it's kind of funny, like being on the outside of it. I can see how my kind of perfectionist personality liked those sort of black and white things. Like they liked all of this is bad, all of this is good. So I think that's why I was such a purity princess, is because I'm like, hey, if there's some, I don't even like rules, but like up until I was 18, it was like, well, this is something that I can follow. And then people can say, oh, you're doing good and you're an example and you're the standard.
Yeah,
And kind of
you got a
that
lot of praise for
I
that.
I did, because I didn't kiss any boys, and that was just super cool. It's so funny if you talk to people who like were normal and didn't have that kind. And I forget, Mike said something. He's like, "Oh yeah, my girlfriend in fifth grade," and I was like, "You were." I was like, "Oh, that's normal, I think." And it was like, "Oh yeah,
It
we
is.
just said that, like, oh, we're like, I can't even imagine. I was like the junior Bible quiz
Oh,
queen in
dude, I
fifth
would have
grade."
taken your ring and melted it down into an arrowhead, and then. Oh, I wasn't like that at
No,
all.
you really
Like,
weren't. But it was just funny because it was so, the system was so set up of, this is how you do it. Like you court, and so you're allowed to go to a group of friends to movies to see with with a guy. You can be
yeah,
with your
that was.
family. That was courting. So, but like you weren't. I wasn't allowed to be alone, like with a boyfriend, because then temptations could happen.
So there's still ways, like I could see a parent like thinking that might be a good way as you're approaching adulthood. It's like, hey, go out in groups and stuff like that. But what I would change for sure is would have done differently is, of course, dating is such a normal part and a healthy part of like learning how to interact with the opposite sex with when you're at home with parental guidance and all
Yeah,
that. So you have support and everything.
without
Um,
bugs.
so I mean, I would have changed that, and then like the not bringing the God into it. Like
Sure.
there was that religious emphasis, like he's watching, he's gonna be hurt somehow. You're gonna disappoint God, like if you
Yeah.
do something. There is no way that a God could care less.
Yeah.
I,
Or that it detracts from
I mean,
you.
there's not.
if you
Well, I could be
kiss somebody or sleep with somebody, it doesn't
that
detract
and
from like
put that
me as
thought
a
in your
person.
guys.
Oh, but
Yeah,
you were
like,
always also the first one to come to my defense.
but a
And
lot of
so
but a
I
lot of people would be like their first kiss and stuff like that was a special, just innocent, normal thing, and how and things like that that were made to feel nasty or bad or something. Even if we didn't, even if nothing like that was said, the information you were giving, you could certainly imply that and think that.
I can see, yeah, I see what you're, and I'm sure there was some of that internalization, or was like, you would have to think, okay, well, the circumstances better be really, really perfect because this is such a
Yeah,
huge, momentous, big deal. And then I think so, like, got married to the first person that I really dated. And then that all kind of fell apart. And there was sort of this feeling of, oh, shoot, it didn't work. Like all that, you know, all that waiting and doing everything perfect and stuff. And it still didn't work out, and he wasn't faithful and angry, drunk, and all that stuff.
I know.
And so I
Yeah,
think there was a little bit of that. Hey, I got gypped. I kind of did everything by the book, and I still got gypped.
yeah.
And also to think, and then I'm like, well, so, a Christian therapist, not a therapist, told me, well, if you get divorced and then get married again, you're still cheating on your first husband because the Bible says like a divorced woman can't remarry without being still like a cheater. Um, well, jokes on her because I did it twice, but which I just thought
I
was,
don't think.
and I, again, after I came home and told mom and dad that, dad was like, okay. And then he went and found her and made her cry. So you kind of handled that situation.
I was so mad. Like, yeah, that's
But there is a lot of stuff with the purity culture. I just think it sets people's expectations up really, really high of if you do everything right, as purity culture teaches you, your marriage is going to be perfect and easy and blessed. And that's just not the case.
yeah, and just those high control environments is like a red flag when somebody's getting that level into what you should be doing. No, I mean, certainly with
Yeah.
your like, I still think any responsible parent would have conversations with their children all through those years and be
Oh, for sure.
and help guide them and everything. I think that just the shame and the guilt and stuff that's put onto it, and then reinforced by a whole community who unfortunately is probably, who knows how many of them are doing that anyway. You find out after the fact, and it's just like,
Lots.
yeah, it's like,
Well, that's
can't we just all be real
I
and
think the
like,
funny part about purity culture is that it doesn't work. And it can, but like there's a lot of research that shows that like the
yeah, it
abstinence,
does.
it's nice in theory, but the problem is that you've got people who are still gonna do. I grew up in church. I know what goes down. Is like people are still gonna do stuff anyway, but they don't know then about precautions and safe sex and stuff like that. And so like exactly what you're saying, just looking at the reality of it and saying, hey, everyone's not going to be a weird bug toting prude like Jess. A lot of these teenagers probably are going to have sex. And so maybe we should be realistic and teach, like, here's how you don't get an STD. Here's how you don't get pregnant. And but those kind of things wouldn't really enter the chat because it was just, well, of course you're not doing that. We would literally rather you murdered somebody than had sex before you got married.
And I didn't realize how many young people took that to like, okay, sex is actually intercourse, but all this other stuff you can do is not. So
Oh
there's
yeah, that was
the
a big
other
thing.
stuff is actually can be more harmful to a person, like physically, and like can be more dangerous with STDs and stuff.
Yeah,
And it's like,
but it doesn't count.
yeah, it doesn't count. I
Yeah,
didn't realize that whole mindset was out there, that the main thing is to make it pure to your wedding is to be a virgin and not have had intercourse, but they're doing all this other kind of stuff, and it's because people are just people. And the
absolutely.
best thing would be
Yeah.
open communication, loving parents, talking to their children, creating an open atmosphere so whatever's going on, they can talk to one another as much as possible. I mean, I don't expect anyone to tell everybody, someone else everything, but have that safe environment to where they know they can talk to that whatever's going on, because it's
Absolutely. Yes.
and that goes that just continue should continue through. Like, it just breaks my heart, like, thinking um just that whole thing about, because you've been a Christian and you've believed that and you've done whatever, it doesn't matter what the reason is, but if that belief changes, and it's not because you wanted to sin, it's not because you want to run away, it's because you continue to explore the world, evaluate information, and your belief changes, that would put a person in a position to where they could lose everybody that cares about them,
Yeah.
or at least the fear that they could lose that, just because your mind has changed, your
I know.
thoughts have changed, is really hard for me to wrap my mind around. What?
Really weird said that was what we call a life hack. Are you
What?
talking like all the other stuff you could do besides intercourse?
Oh,
Yep.
thanks. Hey, who was that? Hey, I was trying to say something meaningful.
And it was really beautiful, and I totally
Oh,
agree with you.
shut up.
It was. No. And that was just so funny because that was the thing too, even like with the purity culture among the Mormons, is they had all these things called like docking and some other stuff that you could do, and as long as it wasn't intercourse, it all like it didn't count. And I was more of like, you don't even do anything. And if you were to dance, you had 6 inches for Jesus. And so you would like literally stand like 6 inches apart so that Jesus could fit in between you, which is so creepy.
Wait, I didn't tell you.
You didn't tell me that. No, but that was
wait. Where'd you come up with that at?
Oh, that was said all the time in church about like dances and stuff. Well, you keep 6 inches for Jesus, or if you were like sitting next to a boyfriend,
he squeezes in there.
Yeah, so that if he had to fit in between you, I guess he could.
He's a skinny dude.
I know, yeah. Maybe it was 12 inches for Jesus. I don't remember.
Okay,
that's why I
change
lost
your conversation.
Yeah. That's what we call a life hack. It's so funny. That's so funny.
Thanks.
Really weird. But I agree. Like that I think was definitely a thing. Was like, well, as long as I don't do the big one. But then people don't know that others
Yeah, other stuff is like,
can also just open conversations, I think, and talking about here's how it could affect you emotionally and physically, rather than, hey, the God of the universe is super fixated on your sex life and is going to be mad at you if you have sex with somebody. I just feel like he has bigger fish to fry, probably.
So that was awesome. We've got
That was
like
awesome.
What about, well, I don't know if you're supposed to say that about yourself.
I mean, it was awesome. Yeah. Rock the purity culture.
Okay, so we wanted to close. We got about 5 minutes here or so. And this is one of the people are very concerned about Jessica posting on Facebook and where she's at and everything. So people were trying to help with some messages, and one that we thought was very powerful to perhaps lead you back into the fold was a musical number. So and this was legitimately, someone shared this with Jess, so I thought it'd be pretty important to share this. So let me switch over to this one.
Roll film.
There we go.
And then he said you can hit play over here.
Oh, he had me all set up.
She called it right.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if you can hear the sound. This is a why believe in Jesus out of all the other religions? Well,
existed throughout the course of mankind. How could you possibly think that the one that you believe is the correct one? And I said, well, I have a lot of faith. And then I said something like this. Only one man walked the water. Only one man raised the dead. Only one man fed the thousands with a little bit of fish and bread. Oh, there's hundreds of religions, and they all swear they're true. But there's only ever been one empty tomb. And I wrote this verse for all of my atheist friends out there.
Wait, this is the atheist.
If your brain is the product of just random events, and it was only ever formed through happenstance, well, then you have to admit that there's a pretty good chance that everything you ever thought could be incorrect.
Everything you thought could be incorrect.
There's nothing like not talking to somebody for 20 years and then sending them a music video telling them that they're dumb. But anyway.
Okay, wait, we got to finish up though.
Finish up.
This is the part. Johnny Cash kind of takeoff from Hackensack.
New York, Hackensack, Chicago, Birmingham.
We don't know.
But yet you still trusted to come to the conclusion that the existence of God is something that can't be proven. Nothing making everything sure as confusion. Must be tough in the atheist delusion. Only one man walked the water. Only one man raised the dead. Only one man fed the thousands religions, and they all swear they're true. But there's only ever been one empty tomb. I was having a conversation with a non-believer friend of mine.
Okay, well,
and he
that's
asked me
it. So we both kind of reconverted.
I'm gonna click out of this because I don't know what this is. There we go.
Yeah, that we both that did it. It's like, oh, I'd never thought of that, especially to a Johnny Cash chunka beat.
Here's how that was. I showed it to Mike, and him and I walked around with that stuck in our heads the entire day, and we're neither of us believe in God. And we're walking around the house going, "One empty tomb." So that was kind of. I just cannot imagine like that you literally don't know somebody and all they do is post one video, and instead of being like, "Hey, how are you doing? Can we talk?" they send you this music video about the atheist delusion.
And it is. So yeah, if for whatever reason, and just to clarify, it's not necessarily a delusion to not believe in something. Just like anything, when the evidence is presented and anyone looks at it, everybody would come away with a different
Yes.
thought based on their history, their background, the way they're wired, the way they think, all of that. So people just can look at the same information and come away with different beliefs, and they can both, well, obviously on something like this, someone is right, someone is wrong, possibly, I don't know, maybe it's some combination of something we don't know.
Right. Okay.
But nothing like a
rousing musical country number to
smack you down.
So I think really, did you want to comment on this video at all? I don't think you'd seen it yet.
Me?
No, really weird.
Oh.
You don't have to. And I can't see the chats anymore.
Oh, I wonder where they went.
Well, he said not to go out of the screen.
Okay, well, I think on that rousing number, we're going to wrap it up.
I think we are. Oh, yeah. And feel free, those of you who are in touch with me, if there's different topics or anything that you want us to touch on, if we missed anything about purity culture that you wanted us to talk about, absolutely feel free to reach out to me. Let me know what you want us to talk about. We could even do purity culture again because that's a huge topic with a lot of facets. I thought original sin could be a fun one, and kind of why a lot of Christians carry around a guilt complex or feeling that they're bad. That could be an interesting one. So you all just let me know if there's something, and if not, we'll be back next week, Wednesday at 5.
Awesome. Have a great week, and thank